well, welcome everybody to another episode of Off the Deep End. I have Jenn Mullen here with me today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. So Jenn calls herself the mindful virtual assistant. And as you know, there are lots of virtual assistants out there,
Yeah.
but what sets Jenn apart is that she is mindful. I'm always inspired and encouraged by her Monday morning emails, seed thought that she has, and she likes to share a story that has happened to her or one of her clients or all of the above. I always enjoy those emails. Thank you, Jenn. And so Jenn is actually from my neck of the woods. She's in Massachusetts. We
Yeah.
haven't actually met offline yet. That's coming probably
Coming
next
soon.
month or the month after.
Yeah.
But we did meet through the same networking group that I met Rick and a couple others in. And so, yeah, I'm just delighted to have her here. And Jen, I'd love you to just start where you'd like to start. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, it's a long story, but I'll make it as quick as possible. Um I grew up in like that typical household with two parents and a sister, and we went to college and I got married and I did all the things I was supposed to do, and then I got to a point where I got a job in corporate and kind of worked my way up the ranks. I was with a corporate entity for 14 years, and I had to work in Boston. And if you know anything about the city of Boston, in the wintertime, the trains do not run because the tracks freeze. And I had to take a train to work every day. And I distinctly remember this memory. I will never forget it. I was in South Station waiting to go home. It's snowing all over the place. And there's got to be like 12 or 15 tracks, like platforms for people to get on a train. And there was not one train in the station. I ended up not getting home until 9 o'clock that night because I had to wait so long to get on a train. And I called my boss and I said, "Look, I just walked in the door. Can I come in a little bit late?" And I was told no. And that was my first red flag of this is not the life for me. And so fast forward, I ended up leaving that job shortly thereafter. I went to work at a small startup real estate office. And that's where I found out all the stuff I was good at, all those operational skills, because I was the executive admin. So I had to do everything from making sure we had enough toilet paper to doing the transaction checks and making sure we had all the documentation before we closed a file. So I did, if you name it, I probably did it. So I was there for 6 years. And the last 2 years I was there, I built my business part time, just doing it on the side and offering whatever service I could handle because that's how most of us get started.
Yeah.
And then now I'm here today. I left just this past November, so I'm still a baby business owner, as I like to call myself, because I'm approaching year 3, and it's been a wild ride for sure, but I'm so happy for my journey because it took a long time for me to realize what I did not want in life, which helped me realize what I do want in life, which is more freedom, more time with my husband and my two dogs and time outside. And but I still want to work. I want to serve a purpose.
Yeah.
So yeah, so long story, but it's been great. It's been a wild ride for sure.
And you have so much energy that you bring to the table and your clients. And but I would, you mentioned it's been a wild ride, and one of the things I like to do when I start having people introduce themselves more than their title, more than what they do, is
Yeah.
is the parts of the story that have been challenging,
Yeah.
as well as the wins. And so, would you like to share with us a few of like those real challenges that you've had?
Oh, sure. Yeah. The first challenge that comes to mind is like most of the people that start off as a virtual assistant, they offer everything and anything under the sun because we just want to get started. We just want to start making a little extra income. And that's what I did in the beginning. And with that, we also start off really low pricing, and that's just normal. And so I had to learn how to overcome that and say, no, I'm not worth this small amount. I had to raise my prices higher, and pricing alone is just it's a hard topic. Money is a hard thing to talk about, and having to learn how to pick and choose what you want to offer is one thing, because yes, we can do everything you ask us to do, but that doesn't mean it brings us joy. And that's one of the things I'm trying to bring into my wheelhouse is I want to do work that I love, that serves my clients and helps them move the needle forward. I don't want to be doing things that are a mental drain, like I dread doing them. So I'm starting to change and focus really on the operations, because getting in the weeds is something I love to do. And I know that
Yeah.
sounds strange, but I love like figuring out that puzzle, and then how do we move on from there? And that comes along with those higher prices. So I'm still working through it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still in that messy middle of trying to feel comfortable charging a higher rate.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty typical of most of us.
Yeah.
So that's the first challenge I would definitely bring up, is that it takes a lot to learn what you're okay with, and like what your bottom line is, and what you're okay saying yes to versus no to. That's another hard word, is no.
Yes. Yes. I think, what you're describing is what it means to work and walk in integrity. I used to think integrity was just all about, well, I'm not going to do anything that's dishonest
Right.
for my client. But it's more than that. It's
Yeah.
being in integrity with yourself. So, like you just so beautifully said, I don't want to just work and bring the money in. I want to do things that light me up. And
Yeah.
and that's not selfish, like I was just saying in another podcast I did yesterday. It can sound selfish, right? I want to do
Yeah.
what lights me up, but it's not, because how much better do you show up for your clients and to the world in general
Yeah.
when you're in a better place emotionally,
100%.
mentally, physically? So it's really important, when you're a business owner, to think about, yeah, what is my integrity? Like, what is too little? What's the threshold? What is the minimum that I'm going to do X?
Yeah.
Because it might be easy to think, well, I'm doing them a favor because I'm coming in lower. But the reality is you're doing yourself and them a disservice,
Right.
because there's more value placed on something that's priced more reasonably in the sense that it works for you, not
Yeah.
just them. So that's great. So that's definitely something I think
Yeah.
we all struggle with at times. What
Yeah.
else do you have there?
The other one that goes along with that kind of is, and I've been seeing a lot of chatter on Threads, which is like Instagram's version of Twitter, about heart-centered businesses. What does that actually mean? And I call myself a heart-centered business. And the way I look at it is that I care about your business just as much, if not more, than you do. And people will hear that and be like, how is that even possible? It's because I have that integrity that you had just mentioned, that I want to leave you at the end of the day with really good work. That's a reflection of me. So I want to make sure that I'm doing your business justice. I'm doing what you want as your vision, as your plan for it, but I want to make sure it's done well. It's not just done. I know that phrase done is better than perfect, and that's true, but I want to leave whatever I'm doing in a good place. And I find that sometimes I care a little too much. So, and this is one thing that people keep telling me is like, don't care about your client's business more than they do.
Mhm.
But I can't. That's just not me. Like that's not who I am. Like I want to leave my work done well, and I want to be able to anticipate my clients' needs before they even think of them, and then they come to me and it's already done because I've already thought of it for you. So being a heart-centered business and caring about your clients' businesses, that's a fine line, because
Yeah.
they're right. Like you don't want to care so much that you're working more than you're actually kind of allotted in your contract or your scope of work. But I also don't want to not do the job do well. I want to do it as good as I can and say like, okay, if this was my business, how would I feel about that work effort? How
Yeah.
would I feel about that product?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel good about it. That's how I think about it. And I think a lot of people in my world, they do care a lot more than we probably should. But I think that's just the nature of what a lot of us do is caring
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there are times when I will see a project and the client comes to me with like I'll just make numbers up right now just for the purpose of the story, but like they come with to me with like, okay, 5 action steps that need to go in this product, and I look at it and I go, oh well, I thought of 6, 7, 8, and 9, so we need to incorporate those in too. And part of that is strategy and trying to help somebody market something better or get their voice out there better or just using whatever resources that are available for me that I can help them do their job better. And they're like, oh, no, let's just stick to the 5. And then I have that little, like, almost pit in my stomach, like I'm not doing my job well enough. So this kind of goes with that heart-centered thought, that thinking that I have to be okay with where the client wants it to be and not do more when that's not what the client wants. And it's like sometimes that hurts our heart as a service provider because we just we want so we see the potential, we see so much for you as a client,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's hard for the client themselves to see beyond that wall, us too, like for our own businesses.
Mhm.
um yeah, my heart goes into a lot of the work I do. Yeah, it's
Yeah, it sounds like it goes into all of it.
can't help it. Oh yeah,
Which is a beautiful thing, which is what makes you the mindful virtual
yeah.
assistant. I mean, you can go on, I mean, this is no secret to you, but when you're a business owner, you can go in Google or Fiverr or what's the other one? Uh,
Upwork is
Upwork.
another one. Yep.
Yeah, you can go on all these platforms and you can hire a virtual assistant
Oh, absolutely.
and they'll do whatever.
Yeah.
But Jen is different in
Yeah.
that she won't just sit. Okay, I know this from personal experience. If there's something you want her to do or want to ask her to do that she doesn't do, it's not in her realm, she will, within, what was it, 10 minutes, send you a list of other people that
Yeah.
would be happy to help you in that way.
Yeah.
And I've experienced that. So,
Yeah. I'm so
Jen,
grateful to have those people in my back pocket, if you will.
yeah,
Being in a networking is one thing, but being in a network of people that do what you do so you can use that as a resource and go, oh, I can't help you with that because I don't have the expertise you need,
yeah.
but I know 10 people that can. I
Mhm.
think Rachel, when you and I had talked about that, I put just one post in my network, and I think, oh God, I had to have like 7,
Yeah.
10, something like that. And I had to stop them and go, okay, I've sent her 3. Like, so I had so many people reaching out. And this is like, I think still goes to the heart-centered piece is that we're all just willing to just jump in and help each other, whether it's my client, it's your client. We're
Yeah.
just a resource for each other. And I love that part about this business for sure. That is one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to another, I'll call it pillar of what, our business is built on is that we're not just about integrity, we're about serving in humility. We're humble enough to say, you know what, I don't know how to do that, or I'm not the best person to do that, or that's
Yeah.
simply just not in my realm, but I know someone who can help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I just love that
Yeah.
about
Me too.
how, you communicate and just how, more people are willing to do that these days.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's becoming more of a trend for business
Yeah.
owners, service providers specifically, to say, Yeah, I know how to do that, but I'm not the best person for you. And
Yeah.
I think that mentality is actually helping the industries as a whole
Mhm.
because there's enough to go around. There's enough work. And if we share the wealth, we're all going to be able to benefit from it in the long run. So there's no harm in passing it to someone else
Yeah.
if you're not the right person for it, for that job, for
Yeah.
sure.
So I was looking at your profile just as a refresher. I do that before a show, and I noticed that you have other skills in your background, like before you were doing virtual assisting.
Yeah.
I think had another business, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Um,
I was a life coach for a very, very brief period of time.
oh yeah, what happened with that? Do I want to know? I'm not a life
No,
coach.
it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So the little backstory on that is that I was with an MLM for a little while that was into health and wellness, and because of that, I wanted to learn. That's one of the pieces about me is that I always feel like I have to learn something. So growth is one of my core values because I like to continuously learn,
Mhm.
whether it's about what I'm doing for a job or just in general. So at that time, I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition so I could learn about health and wellness, actual information, and I was doing this just for me. And at the very end of the program, they encouraged us to try and start our own coaching practice. And so I did, and I tried it. And then it was working one on one with clients, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't, I loved the work itself,
Mhm.
but it didn't feel like this is where I should be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when I say brief, I think it was just like about a year and a half, maybe two.
Yep.
And then I just said, you know what? This isn't right for me. I'm just gonna put it on the back burner. And I left it there. But the principles that I learned stay with me today. That's why I call myself the mindful virtual assistant, because I still have that mindful piece where not everything has to be done in a day. Not everything is an emergency. We don't have to freak out about every little thing, like something broke, a system. Oh, there was a major system outwide like crash yesterday.
Oh,
And
yesterday too?
oh, yesterday too. Yeah. So it happens. It
Yeah.
happens. And the way I now see those kind of blips in time is like, oh, this is the universe telling me that I need to walk away from the computer for a little bit. This is the world telling me now's not the right time to start that project. And this is kind of what I pass along to my clients too, is that if you have something happen that you feel like is major, sit with it, but that doesn't mean it is major.
Yeah.
We can tackle anything. It just may not need to be done in the next 10 minutes.
Yes.
So,
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
and that's so perfect too, because I know that one of the things you and I have in common is we've both experienced something called burnout.
Oh, big time.
And I know that you were on, and I listened to it, but I don't remember which one it was. You were on a podcast recently where you told that story.
Oh, yeah.
And I know we're already halfway into our time segment here, but if you'd like to summarize that a little bit, because I think that brings in like those valuable pieces that you learned back then when you were doing the
Mhm.
coaching thing that just didn't feel right. And
Yeah.
now to where you're able to integrate some of these core values and principles that you learned back then.
Yeah.
And in between, there was this personal crisis that you went through,
Oh, yeah.
led to yet more lessons and more experience. And maybe you'd like to share that.
Yeah, I'll definitely share because it was a huge learning lesson for me. So in November, when I went full time, I was like, okay, this is it. This is now my 9 to 5 job. I'm going to go gung ho. I am going to work. And literally, that's what I did for the entire month of November. And I burnt myself out so bad that I was like on a shoestring. There was not much left in this brain of mine. And it was right around the holidays. So you have to make time for friends and family and gathering, but you still have all this work to do. So I think I was probably during the last 2 months of the year, November for sure, working 7 days a week. Maybe not the whole day, but a good chunk of hours every single day.
Yeah.
And I got to the point come end of December where I was like, I can't keep doing this, because I would go through cycles of like really working so intensely and so hard, and then I would burn out and have to have a full like 8 hour video game session on my husband's PlayStation just to get my head cleared, which I know sounds counterproductive, but that works for me.
Yeah.
So I would go through that pattern over and over and over again. And then come January, I said to myself, I'm not doing this again. I cannot do this again. I have periods where I get tired, but I wouldn't say so burnt out that I can't function. And that's how I was at the end of 2024.
Yeah.
So now, one of the things that I do religiously, I have a calendar. So I use the iPhone calendar, and this could work with any calendar system that you use, but I have calendars for each thing.
Hmm.
So I have a calendar for me, a calendar for my husband, a calendar for master networks that I'm a part of, a calendar for my business. And then I have a calendar for self care where I literally block off time for journaling and workout. And then I have another calendar called White Space. And this is the one that I think you're referencing from that podcast, where I talked about the idea of having white space on your calendar where nothing's planned. You're just blocking off a set of time to give you space to breathe,
Yeah.
breathing room. So like I do it before and after a meeting, even with the like built-in buffers, I still add extra. There are
Good
times
for you.
when like I'm looking at the calendar this past Wednesday, I had a doctor's appointment in Boston, and it takes us about 2 hours to get to Boston by car. So I blocked off like 6 hours before that appointment just to give myself breathing room to get a little bit of work done and then give me enough time to drive up there. So white space is something I think everybody should do it. White space doesn't mean you have to do something during that time. It's just giving you space on your calendar that you can control. Nobody can book a meeting with you. You can use it for work if you want, or go take a walk, eat lunch. It doesn't matter. It's just only purpose of it is to give you space
Yeah.
to do whatever it is you want to do. And I highly encourage everybody to do it. So you can breathe. You can avoid burnout essentially by doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Breathing space is so crucial. So
Huge.
crucial.
Yeah.
And when I think you know my story, but
Yeah.
shortly after I went through mine and ended up finding out that I had cancer. Where was the cancer? But in my chest, in the space between my lungs, which is where you breathe. And so I had been
Yeah.
holding my breath in some sense for a long time.
Yeah.
And then it was also on my windpipe, which is why uh, I think, my inability to really express myself, my emotions, really, it was a time where I had to find my voice, and I sure did after all of that. And that's not to shame or scare anybody into making sure that you have time blocked off to rest, but please make sure you have time blocked off to
Yeah.
rest. It's crucial to you and it's crucial to whoever you serve, and even if you're not in business.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That must have been a really pivotal time
Oh, yeah.
for you to discover that.
Yeah.
And so what kind of influences or who has been influential in your life and yeah, who has been the one, you don't have to name them necessarily, but
Sure.
do you, for example, have your own business coach or life coach or any of the things that help support you in your journey?
Yeah. So I've got a couple that are like the people I lean on all the time. And the first one I'll say is my business coach. So she is actually a trained therapist. So she works specifically with solopreneurs to infuse that mental health side of your personality and how you deal with emotions in your personal life in with your business and combines the two. And so now I used to call her my therapist slash business coach because she kind of is both.
Yeah.
And she has a lot of knowledge herself because she used to work with a nonprofit in Boston. So she understands how a business is supposed to run and all the things that you experience when you're running a business. So I meet with her every 2 weeks religiously. It is a do not miss, non negotiable for me because I could be talking with her about something that's going on in my personal life. And then somehow we always end up how that moment affected something in my business that week, that month. So she has been like my rock. She helped me through that November December time period and helped me figure out that I need to actually start planning for this white space because that's how my brain works. I'm a
Yeah.
planner.
Yeah.
So she's crucial. And then I
Awesome.
also have a friend that is a VP of a bank here in Massachusetts. Um, and she is so smart and so intelligent from a business perspective and how big corporations run. And while I'm just like a tiny little business in the grand scheme of the world, she's always somebody that I can throw an idea out to her and she's like, huh, I like it, let's do it. Have you thought about it this way or thought about it that way? And she always offers her advice,
Yeah.
but in a non-judgmental way and asks questions versus no, you're doing it wrong or whatever the case may be. So those two people, and of course, he's not listening, but my husband too. Thank God for him because I I wouldn't eat if he wasn't here. So he works from home too. And so every day he's the cook in our house. So he makes breakfast. He makes like checks on me to make sure I've eaten lunch because the days could go by and it's like 2:30 and he's like, "Hey, have you eaten lunch yet? Have you gotten out of that chair? Have you seen the sun?" So, and I laugh about this, but that I just get tunnel vision and I just go when I get in that sort of a flow state. So those three people I will say are the people that are just like they're right there. They're always checking on me. They're always
Awesome.
like it's just wonderful to have some sort of support network. Everybody should have one.
Yeah.
What else
What
could
do
we
you
talk?
what do you do to decompress besides video game?
Besides the video games, yeah, my husband has a PlayStation 5 and he's got the membership and he's like, "Hey, I downloaded you a new game." Like he knows I like puzzle games or whatever. And on rainy days, I mean, now that it's the summer, I'll be outside. We have a little pool. It probably comes up to my waist. Like it could fit four people comfortably. It's like that small, but it's just us, so it works. It's just somewhere to cool off and like take a dip. He set up actually he built tables on the ends of the pool. So now I can get in the pool with a hood and work from the pool. So that might be happening a lot this summer. Other than that, I have two dogs. I have an Australian Shepherd who, if you know anything about the breed, you know they are full of energy and she definitely keeps us on our toes. She wants to play 12, 14, 16 hours a day. She falls asleep with a ball in her mouth because she just can't stop. So she's lovely. She's
Kind
the
of like
best.
her mom.
Oh my God, she's very like me. She is like me. You
That
can
her
actually,
behind you?
no, that's my lab. My black
Okay.
lab is right here because he is my motivated food guy and I have food
Ah.
on my desk right now. So he decided to come hang out with mom, which is not often. So he is the couch potato. He would
Ah.
rather just hang out on a couch, have like a paw across your leg or like his chin on your leg. He's very sweet. They're both very, very good. But yeah, if you don't watch your food near this guy, he's gonna steal it right off of you. So so there's that.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else do I do? I do like to do a midday run on my treadmill downstairs.
Mhm.
I'm not a runner. But I do, so I've been an asthmatic so since I was born, but I like the concept of running because I put my earbuds on and I have a certain playlist that I listen to, and I can just get on the treadmill and like zone out. And it's just me and the music, and I don't have to think about anything else.
Mhm.
So when I get the chance, I do that like in between meetings sometimes or in between work just to refresh my brain and clear my mind. That's always fun. We like to travel, but it's usually like trips to Maine or trips to the Cape or P Town we go to a lot. Um, we used to go to the mountains a lot before we had dogs. They're not the best hiking dogs, so we don't take them with us. The Australian Shepherd has like a nervous tick where she'll just start barking at you. She's harmless and will never bite somebody, but it scares a lot of people. So we don't usually take her that many places, but she's still a good girl as long as you have a ball to throw to her.
Well, that's good. It sounds like you have a lot you can fall back on when you're ready to
Yeah.
relax and need that white
Oh yeah.
space. That's a good thing. So,
Yeah.
do you have any advice for someone who, unlike you, hasn't come to that point where they've decided, you know what, this isn't really what I want to be doing the rest of my days, but I'm
Mm.
not sure where to begin with whatever. If they have a business idea, they don't know where to start. If they don't have a business idea, but they know that they're just miserable where they are, how would you advise someone like that?
I love this question and I love it so much because that's where I was when I was in corporate. So the company that I worked for was a health insurance company and I worked my way up. I was on the phones. I did like the internal like claims reviews. I got myself all the way to fraud investigation and which is really cool, but the trip was awful and that's what made it miserable. So I started to think, what can I do that involves the skills that I have now that I just get the inkling to try? And I know this might sound like, oh, well, I don't want to start job hopping and like quit a job. I don't think you have to. I think you can do some of it on the side. And for those that might be listening that are in corporate, I remember how your days were. You didn't have that much time. I get it. But if you get any sort of an inkling, try it. There's no harm in trying it. My favorite line ever is Yoda's do or do not, there is no try.
Yes.
Because no matter what you're going to like tackle, you're going to do it. You might not be the best at it when you first start out, but just try it. So, as an example, if you're great with spreadsheets, you're probably a really good launch planner. And what I mean by that is you know how to set a spreadsheet up to reverse engineer something that has a date, and I bet you could plan it backwards. So that way you could plan someone's product release or workshop launch. So try it.
Wow.
Like, and the other thing I would say is start talking to all your friends. Ask them, okay, you know me from an outside perspective. You know, I hate my job. What do you think I would be good at based on how you know me as a person and the skills that I have for work? And then even go further out. If you have that luxury, go to your network and go like they say from like what is it, the 10,000 foot view?
Yeah.
Somebody sees you from so far out, it might lead to something. Something in a conversation might spark an idea, might spark a hey, I kind of need help with this. Do you want to try it? So just start having conversations. Any inkling that you get to try and do something, give it a shot, even if it's on your own. Just try to do it on your own and experiment and see if you like it. Because there's no harm in just putting yourself out there and having conversations because a conversation is just that. It's not it's not a end all be all. It doesn't mean you have to ultimately secure a deal, so to speak. But the
Yeah.
more you try, the more you're going to figure out what you're good at. and what you like to do. I think that's the bigger part of this conversation is don't do things that just to get a paycheck.
Yeah.
Yes, we need that, but do something that you're going to love because if we're working until we're in our 60s, almost 70s, like we want to be doing something that makes us happy because if there's no happiness and no joy and no fun in what you're doing every day for 8 hours a day, we're doing it wrong. We're like doing it wrong 100%. I don't think
Yeah.
we were made as human beings to work like we're working now. I really just don't. I this is part of the reason I started my journey of leaving corporate because I there had to be a better way. There had to be a way that I could do work I loved, get paid for it, and still have time to do whatever I wanted to do outside of four walls.
Yeah.
So, and hey, if anybody wants to just reach out to me and say, hey, I have this idea. Do you have any ideas how to make it happen? I am a let's have a chat because
Yeah.
I love those exploratory conversations because something I say might go, oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, just start having conversations, throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
You just never know. You never
Yeah.
know what's gonna click.
I love those brainstorming, or I've started calling them heart storming sessions too,
Oh, I love
because I think we are so, we meaning society, so
Yes,
distracted and so busy as a society that we often get swept away by the things that we think just have to be done.
right.
And we don't always pay close attention to what's going on in here. And so a lot of what you've said today, Jen, about your own journey, which has been so inspiring, um, is just proof that sometimes if you just quiet yourself down
Yes.
and eliminate some of the noise and think critically,
Yeah.
you can come up with something. Maybe the first thing is a stepping stone to the ultimate thing, right?
Bingo.
Because you did that.
Exactly.
You were a life coach, and
Yeah.
then you became a mindful virtual assistant. None of
Yeah.
that time was lost or wasted because
No.
you brought that into your current business and you
Mm-hmm.
serve people the way you were served, which is
Mm-hmm.
a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, like, one of the things that I hear a lot from people who say have a really great hobby that they think about turning into a business, um, that's a place where I just love to have those conversations because there's so much potential there. And or maybe it's not a hobby, maybe it's just something they have a dream to do. I mean, I can't go into details, but I have a client, a former client who had an idea, a dream that I know will revolutionize, let's say, emergency healthcare in Massachusetts. And the idea is duplicatable. So once it's done, it could be rolled out across the country. And she was so like excited about this idea, but had no idea where to go with it. And
Okay.
I just said one thing, start where you are.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you're out there and you're watching this or listening to this and you got something burning in your heart to start as a business or
Yes.
explore, even if it's not a business, it's an organization, it's a foundation, whatever. Right?
Right.
Start where you are because even if you don't have the external tools or the resources yet, and the big word is yet, you have something here.
Mm-hmm.
You've been equipped somewhere along the line to do what's in your heart. I'm a
Yeah.
firm believer in that, or it wouldn't be on your heart.
Yeah. I think a lot like you, whether you call it God or the universe or spirit, it doesn't matter. But I really believe there is a higher power that calls us to do something. And the people that you're talking about that have the idea are the same ones that say, oh, it's already out there, or oh, I can't do that, or oh, I don't know enough people. But those are also the same people that 9 times out of 10, somebody is noticing what they're doing and is going, that's a great idea. Or they've invented something around their house, a little like, I don't know, a sort of system or a something that helps them around the house and they're like, where can I get one of those? Oh, it's just mine. I just made it. Those are the same people that somebody just needs to tell them. Like they just need a second voice to go, you can do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love that mentality when you're talking about somebody who they've got an idea and
Yeah.
they could talk forever about it. If they're that person, those people need to make that idea happen because they're way too excited to keep it to themselves. They've
Yeah.
got to share it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Story doesn't end there because she went on to, again, I can't disclose a lot of details, but she went on to get some licensure that would allow her to do what she wants to do legally, lawfully in the state. And it was no easy task to put herself through that. Um, but she did it because it is what she needed to do to
Amazing.
actually step into this incredible vision she has. And I wish I could go into it because
I
it's so
know.
exciting. I was like, yeah, I was so, and that's one of the things I love about um, coaching, especially, is when people share their
Yeah.
vision, their dream. Of course, they can share their problems and their struggles, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
But there's something about being the first one to hear a dream
Yeah.
explained that they've never explained to anybody else. There's something about that that's really exciting. And so, yeah, I hope that you're finding Jen's story both motivational and informative.
Yeah.
It's encouraging you to think outside the box,
Yes.
wherever it is that you feel you might be stuck right now. Because when you're willing to just think a little differently, quiet things down,
Hmm.
get real with who you are and who you're not, like we were just
Yeah.
saying, things can happen.
Yeah.
You know?
And once you start to get some traction,
Yeah,
then you can start to see that snowball getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you're like, oh, I can really do this. Yes, you absolutely can.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Just start. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, so cool.
One of my favorite quotes too, I think it's George Eliot. It's on my website too. It says, "You're never too old to be who you might have been." And so I don't
Hmm.
care whether you're 30, 40, 50, 60, you
Yeah.
still have time as long as you're breathing to step into whatever it is your purpose is in this
Oh,
life.
yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
you need a network of people to support you along the way. And you
Yeah.
might need a mindful virtual assistant.
Listen, I'm here. Yeah. And to add to that point that you just said about age,
Yeah,
I didn't start my business until I was 41. So, and I have friends in their 20s that are like, oh, I could never do anything now. Heck yeah, you can. So listen, I love this. I like love this conversation because I get so excited about like lifting other people up and helping them realize their dreams. So yeah, I hope everybody took something from today's conversation about if you've got an idea, just do it. Just start. You know, don't give up on yourself just because you don't think it's possible right now, because it might not be possible right this second, but come 5 years, 3 years even, it'll come to fruition if you just keep working at it. So
yeah, and you never know, having the right people, knowing the right people
yeah,
can expedite all kinds of things, you know.
exactly.
You're not limited to time. Time isn't even real. I mean, if you believe in the quantum realm, which I do,
Yes.
time isn't even a thing. It's not even linear. It's just like, you can collapse it, you can bring everything closer, faster. Don't be limited by time. Feels like a good place to wrap up, but I
Yeah.
would love to know if you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with anyone.
The only other thing I would probably want to add is you touched on this at the beginning, my Monday motivation email.
Yeah.
I started that on a whim because fast track back to when I was in high school, I had severe depression and anxiety. And I went through the ringer when it came to therapists because at that time, health insurance didn't believe mental health was really health. So I got nothing when it came to therapy sessions. And so I had to figure out a lot of my own mental therapy on my own all the way through college. And it's only because I said to myself, like, I'm the only one that can really fix me. I need to do this. I had the strength to do that, and I know a lot of people don't, but that's why I do my Monday motivation newsletter. It has nothing to do with business. I don't usually sell in it. I might share a product that I'm like absolutely loving, but those newsletters, it's just a personal story, something I'm going through to go, "Hey, guess what? I'm not perfect either. I have mess ups. I screw up all the time. I made this mistake. I did that, but here's what I learned from it." And I think that's one thing that a lot of us don't do is take the time to slow down and go, okay, what just happened? How did it make me feel? What am I taking away from it? What lesson am I learning? How am I going to use what just happened to help me grow a little bit better, to grow a little bit more?
Yeah.
So those newsletters, I share them as just it's completely free to be on it. I just want to help someone. And if you come into a Monday and you're like, I hate my job, I hate my life, I don't want to do anything, then maybe one of those newsletters will make you go, okay, I can keep trucking for another day. I can keep putting one foot right in front of the other for just a little bit more, you know? And it's just sometimes I give challenges to to like, here's your challenge, here's what I want you to do this week, because I want to not only encourage you to keep going, but I want to encourage people to grow, to physically make changes in their own life to make it better. Because I always think if I did it, somebody else can do it too. If I had if I'm the one who picked myself up and got myself going with very little support, I can do it. Somebody else can do it too. The good news is you don't have to do it with very little support anymore because there's so many resources out there. And I just look at my newsletter as one of those resources that I just want to give to people and help encourage in some way.
I love that. And, it's just as a closing thought, you know, it's true that there are lots of people in the fields that you and I are both in, right? And we know from a marketing perspective, we have to do what makes
Yeah.
us stand out. Something makes us stand out. What is it? And
Yeah.
half of business, I think, is figuring that out, which is a
I do
process all on its own.
too.
But at the same time, it's because you're you. It's because
Yeah.
you have those gifts, you have those skills and those experiences that you need to do what's on your heart. You need to
Yeah.
do you need to walk into your purpose because
Yeah.
literally no one else can do that.
Exactly.
If you don't do that, no one will because
Yeah.
you're you. And so, in a way, you can feel like you're a business person or you want to be a business person, you'll be lost in this sea of business people. But no, you have a
Mm.
very unique role, a very unique purpose. And someone out there needs exactly what you do, the
Mhm.
way you do it. And so, Jen, I thank you. I thought this was such a fun conversation.
Me too.
Uh, yeah, you just keep up the good work. Yeah, so thanks so much for joining me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, pleasure was all mine.